Hey, welcome into Thy Kingdom Come. We're a podcast where we talk about all things Chiefs and NFL, and this week I'm running solo. Justyn isn't feeling too well, so I'm kind of taking over. He may add his own thoughts later in editing. But it's been a few weeks. We've had some ups and definitely some downs. I believe since the last time we recorded, we played the Colts, then Cowboys, and then the Texans. Won against the Colts. Sadly lost against the Cowboys and the Texans. So there's a lot to catch up on. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit brief. But we'll just go ahead and start with the Colts game. We ended up winning. It was very close. But we came out with a win, and we all felt pretty optimistic going in against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. And we ended up losing 30-27 to the Cowboys. There was some really bad drops, one by Rashee Rice and one by Travis Kelce near the end of the game. That kind of screwed us over. So that was a tough loss on Thanksgiving. And then we had the Texans game on Sunday Night Football this previous Sunday. And that final score, I think, was 20-10. And that game essentially eliminated us from winning, or we can't win the division this year. And we have a 14 or 15% chance to make the playoffs, depending on who you ask. And so definitely missed a lot of crucial weeks, crucial football due to schedules. We were unable to record. But now that we're here, I know that this is the time where people have started to overreact. People have started to say it's over, it's rebuild time, it's time to make some serious changes, and that may all be true to different degrees. But the main thing that I think personally people need to do is just take a beat and take a breath. I'm seeing everywhere on social media, on YouTube, on X, people saying that Andy Reid needs to be fired because we may not make the playoffs this year. Or talking about Matt Nagy or the wide receivers coach or whoever it may be. And there's just a couple things to consider here. The season isn't over yet. Right now we're 6-7, which isn't great, admittedly, obviously. But there is still a chance that we go 10-7. Which normally would be enough for a wild card spot. Now, I understand we've had 6-7 years of some of the best football any franchise has ever experienced. We've been to the 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, and we've won 3 of them. Like that's insane. That's insane. We went to 7 straight AFC Championship games. That's nuts. We went to the Super Bowl last year. And yeah, it was not a good game. Obviously, it was not a good game. But before the season's over, to go after Andy Reid, the coach who has helped Mahomes is the magic. I understand that 100%. He is the X Factor, the silver bullet, whatever you want to call him. But Andy Reid has still made decision after decision after decision that has put us in position to win games as well. His game plans, his trust in the defense, and the way that he brings the whole team together and the staff together to win these games, it's irreplaceable. And again, the season isn't over. We're not actually eliminated from playoff contention yet. We just can't win the division, which sucks. And it's very slim, and it's a valid question. Will we go 10-7? Is it really possible? Theoretically, mathematically, it's possible. But with the way we've been playing, is it really probable? That's a fair question. But everyone who's pointing to the game against the Texans, that 4th-and-1 call that Andy Reid made, Rashee Rice just didn't catch the ball. It's plain as that. Yes. He went forward on 4th-and-1 in our own territory with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yes, but he has been criticized before for being too conservative, for not going forward on 4th down, for not trusting his offense, trusting his guys. He trusted his guys, and his receiver didn't make a play. Kareem Hunt dropped a ball. Travis Kelce dropped a ball. Against the Cowboys, Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce on back-to-back drives dropped balls whenever that was a 3-point game. This one was, the final score is 20-10, but that game was close. The defense, Chris Jones alone, at one point in the game, he was a one-man defense. He was single-handedly, what it looked, obviously, it's never single-handedly, but he was stalling the Texans. The defense was doing really well, but everyone's focusing in on that 4th-and-1 play. That is evidence that Andy Reid is done and he's washed. That is so insane. And Justyn would be able to speak to this even more. I'm hoping he's able to put in some clips here. But it's just ludicrous to me that we're going to shaft one of the best coaches in NFL history because of one season that's not even over yet. That just seems ridiculous to me. And maybe I'm ignorant. I could look back on this 4 or 5 weeks from now and we go 6-11 or 6-11, 6-10. Yeah, 6-11. And I'm an idiot. And that I can live with that. That's fine. But right now, we can't jump to conclusions. We can't act like we already know how this season's going to end. And if we end 10-7, there will be people who will still be mad if we don't make the playoffs, even if we end with that good of a record, because we've been spoiled. We talk about this all the time. The Chiefs we have been given one of the greatest period of 6 to 8 years that any franchise has ever experienced. And because we're used to that standard, we get infuriated whenever we don't live up to those expectations. And that's just unreasonable. This is the NFL. There are 31 other teams in this league who all have millions and millions of dollars, who all have access to the same draft class, depending on seeding, in the draft, but you have the same experts, you have the same field of coaches, field of players, you have different cap spaces and stuff. I get that, but we're all playing the same game. It's the NFL. Every team is a tough team. Yes, you have pushovers, but that's by NFL standards. So what the Chiefs have done is impressive. It is one of the most impressive runs that a franchise has ever had. But it's only impressive if you admit that it's difficult. It's only impressive if you admit that it's once in a lifetime, once in a generation. If you take away the difficulty of these other teams and the credibility of these other teams, then it's not as impressive anymore. If all the other teams are pushovers and Mahomes and Andy Reid should just be able to run over the whole league, then it's not impressive anymore. You've lost the magic. You've gotten lost in this utopia that we've found ourselves in as Chiefs fans. So I just think it is such a massive overreaction to say that Andy Reid is the sole person to blame whenever he's not the one out there running the routes and dropping these balls. Routine. Some of them difficult, I admit, but the 3 that we had this week, I mean, the Kareem Hunt one, sure, was it a little high in the face mask? Yeah, but even then, that's just Mahomes threw it a little high. But it all depends on, was he pressured? What was the situation there? Like, none of those things impact Andy Reid's play calling in those 3 instances. The ball was just dropped. Or Mahomes didn't throw it as perfectly as he should have. And by that, I mean, was it in the numbers, but Kelce may have had to catch it behind him or something like that. That's not Andy Reid. That's poor execution by some of these players. And in a lot of cases, marginal on Mahomes' part. Just the slightest adjustment could have made that play possible on his end, or the receiver just needs to catch the routine ball and help the team out and help his quarterback out. So it just shows who are the fair weather fans and who aren't. I'm the stereotype of a fair weather fan. Like I just got into football like 2 or 3 years ago, or definitely became conscious of what the Chiefs were doing whenever Mahomes started doing good in 2018, whenever they went to the championship game. But I recognize that this is special, and it can only be special if it's impressive and if it can end. And just because we have a down year does not mean that Mahomes is washed. It does not mean that Andy Reid is washed. It just means, in my opinion, it makes that run all the more special. Because the NFL has adjusted. The entire NFL across the board, nobody expected any of the top teams that we have at the top of either conference right now. The whole season has been a shakeup for both conferences. And why is that? It's because teams are adjusting. This isn't the same teams that we played against in 2022 and 2023. These are teams and players and coaches who have adjusted to teams like the Chiefs, like the Bills, like the Lions or the Eagles. So I just think it's a little unfair to the Chiefs, and I also think that it devalues the league as a whole to say that just because the other teams got better at reading the Chiefs and the Chiefs are having a little bit of a down year, that means that the Chiefs are washed. That's not how the NFL works. If we were able to steamroll every single team because all of them suck, then where's the value in winning? If it's no longer difficult? It's impressive that Mahomes is able to do what he's able to do, but either we're playing against tough teams or we're playing against teams that we can just steamroll. And then where's the value in the Super Bowl wins, in the Super Bowl runs? So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. We have a tough last 4 games ahead of us. So let me make sure I have this schedule right here. I know that we play the Chargers next in Arrowhead, which I think we're going to win that game. I know that it's tough to say that we're going to win any game because we've been wrong so many times this season, but they're coming into Arrowhead. They did not look good against the Eagles. Neither team did. I mean, that was just an abysmal football game. It was entertaining just because of all the turnovers and all the sacks. But Justin Herbert was clearly hurting. He was clearly frustrated. If it hadn't been for that interception, the Eagles would have. They were driving down the field, so it's entirely possible that they win that game 1 or 2 plays later. So I think we win this game, and then if we're looking at the rest of our schedule, we have the Chargers, and then we have the Titans. We should win that game, and then we have the Broncos at Arrowhead again. That's probably our toughest game of the season, the remaining. I mean, that one is going to be pretty tough. Thursday night on Christmas. And then we have Las Vegas. So it's entirely possible even if we go 2-2, and we're, what would that be, 8-9? Not great. Obviously, a losing season. That is something that it calls for a major overhaul on the coaching staff, on the part of the players, all of that. Like I understand that a shakeup needs to happen, but you're not getting rid of Andy Reid before you look at the other coaches and some of the other players. Our O-line went down. We had 4 of our starting offensive linemen go down at one point or another. That's insane. You can't plan for that kind of injury hit. So anyway, I'm done ranting about that. But if we go 3-1, we have a winning record. 9-8, nothing to write home about. I get it. But you have Mike Tomlin over with the Steelers, who has had a winning record for over a decade or however long it is, and he's praised as Mr. Consistent. And people always call for his firing, but then they still keep him around. So I don't think that this is the time to panic for the Chiefs as far as head coach is concerned, and definitely not quarterback. I don't see near as many people saying quarterback, but you need to deal with the drops. You need to deal with the penalties. You need to deal with our defensive depth, like at D tackle, and try to figure out our offensive line situation. Every team has this. The Lions had it. No one's calling for Dan Campbell to be fired because of all of their injuries or because of his 4th down play calls. A lot of times he would get it, but at crucial points last season especially, he made 4th down calls and it cost them serious games. So I just think that we should give our team, it's perfectly fair to criticize. I am on board with criticizing and holding people and holding teams to the standard that they set, and they know it. I mean, as soon as Travis Kelce dropped that ball, he knew. Whenever Andy Reid was asked about the fourth down play, he said in hindsight that was wrong. And he knows that was not the right call. But even when he called it, it was a catchable ball, and a play could and should have been made. That's what these receivers get paid to do, and he just dropped the ball. Quite literally, he dropped the ball. So I just think they have proven themselves more than any other team right now in the league that they more than deserve time to figure it out. And I know we were saying this at the end of with the Super Bowl loss last year, but we just need to give them a little bit of time because we went decades without a run anywhere close to this, without a Super Bowl appearance. So I just think that as fans, we should have faith in Brett Veach and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes because they brought us this far. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe. And stay tuned for our picks for the week. And until next time, guys, thy kingdom come.